It won't be lost on anyone that Secretary Blinken's visit to the region comes just days after the African four-nation stop undertaken by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in what analysts see as Washington and Moscow's efforts to drum up support from African countries over the destabilizing war in Ukraine.
Good afternoon.
Blinken weighed in on Lavrov's visit to Africa just this week.
Foreign Minister, for example, is engaged in. What I see is a desperate game of defense to try somehow to justify to the world the actions that Russia has taken, both with its aggression in general against Ukraine, as well as more specifically with its blockade of Ukrainian ports and its denying to the world at a critical time the grain, the wheat, the food that it needs. So they're doing everything they can to somehow justify what they're doing at a time when we're hearing from virtually every corner of the world an insistence that Russia stop this blockade and allow the grain to leave. So no doubt Foreign Minister Lavrov will share some interesting views on the war, Russia's aggression, as well as on grain. For example, one of the things that Russia's been doing is blaming on sanctions the challenges of getting Russian grain out of Russia, when in fact, as everyone knows, and as we make clear repeatedly, the sanctions that we've imposed on Russia for its aggression against Ukraine from day one exempted wheat, exempted food products, exempted shipping and insurance necessary to move those out of Russia. So that's a fabrication. I'm sure it's one that will be repeated, but it's one that we will continue to debunk.
The US statement confirms Blinken's visit to South Africa from August 7th to 9th, where he will launch the US strategy for Sub-Saharan Africa, which will speak to Africa's geostrategic position and critical partnership on issues from promoting an open and stable international system to tackling the effects of climate change, food insecurity and global pandemics, in addition to shaping technological and economic futures. In Pretoria, he will lead a delegation to the US-South Africa Strategic Dialogue, first launched when Hillary Clinton was the Secretary of State and last convened at ministerial level in 2015 when John Kerry led the State Department, and is said to be the main focus of the visit, with efforts to bolster cooperation in health, infrastructure, trade and investment and climate. Blinken is also expected to join commemorations of Women's Day in Johannesburg on August 9th before departing the country. Washington's top diplomat will then travel on to the DRC and Rwanda, where he will support regional efforts to advance peace in eastern Congo and the broader Great Lakes region. He's also expected to raise democracy and human rights concerns in Rwanda, including over limiting the space to dissent and political opposition, and what the U.S. views as the wrongful detention of U.S. permanent resident Paul Rusesabagina, a man whose heroism inspired the film Hotel Rwanda. Sherman Briceby's SABC News, New York.